there's one thing that I've learned from traveling, it's that having the right essentials and the right preparation will make all of the difference for stress-free travel. In today's video, I'm sharing my tried and true must-haves that I never want to travel without, along with all of my tips and tricks that I've learned along the way to make traveling so much more stress-free. These essentials are guaranteed to make your next trip so much smoother, so let's jump in. Before we jump in, I do want to mention that I am not a minimalist packer when it comes to traveling. I always take a carry-on bag and a checked bag no matter how long I'm going to be gone, and there's a few reasons why I'm like that, I feel like, so we'll get into that a little bit later, but just want to preface this video with this is not a minimalist list whatsoever. So the first thing that I do after booking a trip, or when I start to prep for a trip, which depending on the trip, sometimes I could start doing this a month in advance. I feel like it just helps ease travel anxiety, and it also is just part of the excitement of prepping for a trip. So I will start a new note for every single trip on my phone. If you haven't used your notes app before, I highly recommend it. It is so useful to just jot things down. I have a dedicated travel folder, and I'll start a new packing list for the trip there. I'll break it down by items. So for example, just miscellaneous things, like if I don't want to forget my passport, things that I want in my carry-on bag, clothing, the list goes on. And then I'll also write out what I'm doing on the trip. As soon as I have plans for it, I'll write out, okay, day one, I need a travel outfit. Day two, we're doing this. I'll need an outfit for this and this. That way I can start planning what I need to pack as far as outfits, and I know exactly what we're doing on the trip and what outfits I'll need for it. If you are a chronic overpacker, that is my number one tip for you, is to write out exactly what you'll be doing on the trip and what outfit you need to wear for it. First essential, let's talk about luggage. I have been a big fan of the base luggage since 2019 when I first bought the carry-on size. I've since also purchased the large check luggage as well. And I've also since purchased them for my family as well. So pretty much we exclusively use the base luggage. It is such good quality. It rolls really well. It has really nice handles, and it is massive. If you are looking for a large checked luggage, this is one of the biggest ones that you can get on the market. It is not only very large, but it also has a 2-inch extender if you need that as well. So jumping back to the fact that usually when I travel, I do always use a checked luggage and a carry-on, and the main reason why I do that is because if I was to pack everything in the checked luggage, it will definitely be overweight depending on where you're flying and what benefits you have. Most of the time your luggage needs to be under 50, and I find it very hard, especially with this size of luggage, when you're packing toiletries and makeup and hair tools. All of that will weigh it down, and it's nearly impossible to keep it under 50 pounds. So I usually break up the weight, and I usually pack my makeup and separate things in a carry-on bag. That way it's not loading down my check luggage. And another strategic reason why I do that is I will pack things in my carry-on roller that I'm not as comfortable checking, because things can happen. Luggage can get delayed, it can get lost. So when it comes to packing designer items or higher ticket items, my makeup, so even if I don't necessarily need all of that luggage, I'm more comfortable having a carry-on roller. For one, I find it easy to go through the airport with, because you can put your personal item on top of it so you don't have to carry it on your shoulder. And I also typically pack my makeup in there, any designer or pricier items that I'm not comfortable checking. And I also will usually include a emergency outfit, or like my most important outfit, or like say I'm traveling for an event, I'll put my event outfit in there just in case something happens with my checked on bag. It is kind of funny because growing up, my dad worked for Delta, and I never checked a bag until my honeymoon, and that is the first time that my luggage was lost for a few days. So ever since then, I've always kind of been paranoid of that, and that's why I do prefer to travel with a checked bag and a carry-on. My only complaint with the base luggage is I do wish that it had a break, specifically the big check bag, because depending on where you're traveling, I fly out of the Atlanta airport, so there's a lot of trains and things that you need to get on, and it's nice to have a break because your luggage doesn't roll around on you when you're on the train, for example. So that's the one thing that I do wish the base had, but otherwise it checks all of my boxes, and I highly recommend that luggage if you're on the market. Next, let's talk about packing cubes. I feel like when it comes to travel, people are very anti or very pro packing cubes, and I personally love packing cubes, not because I find that it saves space, because believe it or not, it does take up space in your luggage. It does add a little bit of weight to your luggage. Sure, it can help compress things down a little bit, but I don't feel like it helps me pack more or less, for example. But the reason I love packing cubes is for the organization. I find it so much easier to unpack once I get to my destination, for example. Plus, if TSA needs to open your bag or anything like that, everything is a lot more contained and protected. I've definitely been guilty of having to unload some weight in my checked bag for it being overweight, and it's very easy to like open your stuff up. It's still protected in the packing cubes, and I can just take like a little packing cube out if I need to unload. That's only happened one time, but it has been helpful in that instance as well. So I'm very team packing cubes. I use the ones from CalPack. They are really good quality. You can get them very cheap on Amazon as well. My all-time favorite carry-on tote bag is the MZ Wallace tote bag. When it comes to a carry-on, I think the most important thing is, for one, it needs to fit under the seat. Just a heads up, the base weekender totes that a lot of people rave about do not fit under the seats, and I personally think they look like a nightmare to actually travel with, because just the structure on its own, like with the base of it, it looks very uncomfortable to have to lug around the airport, and then it's not even going to fit under the seat, which is against the rules for a carry-on bag, personal item. The MZ Wallace tote can fit just as much, like it's literally a Mary Poppins bag, but it's so soft and moldable, I don't even know if that's a word, but it easily fits under the seat, and I can fit so much in this thing if I ever need to, like if I go shopping, or if I need to, like, say for example I have like a designer bag in my carry-on roller and it has to get gate checked for whatever reason. That hasn't happened to me in a really long time, because I do try to board early to avoid that, but I'm not comfortable gate checking designer bags, so I'll open it up and I'll have room to put it in this tote. Like, it is a never-ending tote, like it's truly a never full bag. Plus it does have a zipper as well, so everything is secure as it sits under the seat. But also, most importantly, this bag is very comfortable to carry as well. The straps are really wide and thick, so it's not a ton of pressure on your shoulder. It also comes with a larger strap if you do want to carry it more crossbody. I personally don't carry it on my shoulder that often, because I do like to have a roller bag, and it has a sleeve on the back so you can easily put it on your rolled luggage, and it's super easy to travel with. I don't know why this had me randomly thinking, last time when I traveled to Cabo a few weeks ago, there was a lady who had her Chanel bag just free balling on the floor. I was just mind blown. I put it on my stories and everyone was like, that has to be a fake bag. But even if it was fake, like, I'm so grossed out by planes. That is like, I'm just so icked out by all the germs, and I wish I wasn't like that. But everything on a plane grosses me out, so I'm the person like wiping everything down, but I just can't put my personal belongings on the floor like that. So I do like to have a specific bag dedicated for that. That way I can clean it if need be. If I ever do travel with a handbag, like I've traveled with a Chloe Woody tote before, it's not my personal favorite, but I will put it in its dust bag and then put it under the seat just to keep it protected, because that material is a lot harder to clean, for example. I don't know why I randomly thought about that, but if you have any travel icks, let me know. I know I'm not the only one who's like a plain germaphobe. There's honestly a lot of travel icks, like especially when it comes to people like getting off in the wrong order, or just different things like that. I also saw a man eat straight from the tray table before. Like, he just had a muffin just right on the table, and I just could not believe my eyes. The things that people will do. Goodness. Okay. I'm a big fan of noise canceling headphones when it comes to traveling. They do take up a lot of room, so just keep that in mind. I have had these Sony noise canceling headphones for a few years. They're amazing quality. I know people love the Apple AirMax, and there's a lot of different options out there. Can't compare them as far as quality or anything like that. I've been a fan of the Sony for their quality, but having the noise cancellation is a game changer because it will block out anything that can happen on planes. You just never know what your flight is going to be like. So I have a lot of peace of mind traveling with these. Plus they are more comfortable to me. Like wearing AirPods for a few hours can get a little uncomfortable. So I like having like the soft cushion over my ears. And I'm one of those people that I just don't really want to talk to random people on flights. And I have some friends who just love to make small talk with their neighbors. I am just not that girl. So when I get on a plane, I usually get those headphones on ASAP, and usually I don't have to have any small talk with those, which is nice because everyone can see they're clearly covering my ears. Over the years, I have really nailed down my go-to travel outfit. I have been a big fan of the Spanx Air Essentials for years. I wear the set all the time at home as well. Like I don't just wear it for traveling, but when it comes to what I'm gonna wear, I don't even have to think about it anymore because the Air Essentials always works. Year round, even in the summer, the material is lightweight, so I don't get too hot with all of the walking around the airport. But if it is cold on a plane, I do have enough coverage there as well. Usually I wear a like top underneath just in case there's no AC on the plane and I get hot, or God forbid I get motion sick, which does happen quite often, and I'm like, if I'm overheating, I can take it off. So I do like to have a little layer underneath, like just a basic tee or something like that. Plus I like to wear the wide leg pants because usually, just depending on how long the flight is, I like to wear compression socks to prevent blood clots. It's better for circulation. I have had a pair for a really long time. I think I got them in a FabFitFun box, so I can't link the pair that I personally have, but I would definitely recommend some compression socks, especially if your flight is over the 2-hour mark. So that's the main reason why I also don't like to wear leggings or anything like that, because the compression socks can look a little silly in that instance. And then I usually always wear the same comfy white sneakers because they're a shoe that I can also wear once I get to the destination because they work with a lot of different outfits. And then to go along with that, I do also like to travel with a cashmere wrap just in case it's really cold. I can use it as a blanket. Plus it can also work nicely for dinners if it's chilly. It's just a nice lightweight layer to have on hand. Now I will say, after I travel with it, I do have to wash it, and cashmere can be a little finicky when it comes to washing. So do keep that in mind depending on how much maintenance you want to put into that. But I'm a big fan of this cashmere wrap, and I've had it for years, and I usually never travel without it. If you're on the market for a good travel steamer, I would definitely check this one out. There's a few reasons why it really stands out from other options that I've seen out there. The main reason is the water tank is removable. Most of the time, little travel steamers are so small and compact that you have to physically like put the whole steamer under the sink to fill it up, which I'm not that big of a fan of. Plus they run out so quickly that you have to unplug it and then refill it and then plug it back in. This one has a removable water tank, so you don't have to deal with that, which is nice. Plus it's easier to empty out when you're traveling home, for example. And it's actually surprisingly very powerful for a travel steamer as well. I was really impressed with the output. It didn't leak. So this one has been my go-to for recent trips. I do like to travel with a steamer just depending on where I'm going, because most of the time hotels have just an iron, and I am not a fan of ironing. It just takes way longer. So I like to just know I have a good steamer. This little bag is something that's always packed and ready, and it's my little medicine bag, and usually it's always in my carry-on tote. The actual pouch I don't think is available. I've had it for years from Target, but just get any little pouch. And I actually have a travel container with all of my like little pouches and just anything for travel is all together in one. So I just keep this all together, and in here is like my little emergency medical bag. So for example, I have electrolytes, which is something I never travel without. I have this immune support, so this is throat spray. I do like to, especially this time of year, I like to start taking vitamin C before a trip just to help boost my immune system. I use the little Symbiotica pouches for that. And then I also like to keep this throat spray on hand. I have like random things like tissues. I have like Tylenol, floss, Band-Aids, earplugs. These I think were actually just, I don't know where these came from, but I just have them randomly in here. The most important thing in here though is my Dramamine, which is something I never travel without. I unfortunately get very motion sick easily, and it does happen pretty often on flights, especially when it comes to landing. I feel like that's usually when I start to get sick. So I always, I literally have a million of these bottles. I take the Less Drowsy at some point on my flight. But another really cool thing, I would check out this, it was like so cheap on Amazon. It's this little medicine case, and so I have a bunch of different little things. That way I have a little bit of everything when I'm traveling. So I have like an allergy pill, I have magnesium in here, Tylenol, Advil, zinc, I don't know, Unisum, just random things that I like to have on hand. That way you don't have to travel with a full-size bottle of things. I mentioned this earlier, but I also have these little travel sanitizing wipes in here as well, because I do like to wipe down the seat belt, the seat, the arm things, and the tray table and the screen. I wish I wasn't like that, but it gives me a lot of anxiety. It makes me feel better wiping it down at least. And of course too, I always have sanitizer. I like the Touchland spray. I actually keep it separate from that bag just so it's really easy to get and I don't have to like touch all of my stuff as I'm trying to get to the hand sanitizer. So that's like in my tote bag in like a deep pocket, but always travel with hand sanitizer, of course. All right, let's talk about toiletry bag options. I think this is really important to consider because toiletries can get out of hand very quickly and they can weigh your luggage down very quickly as well. So I do like to buy little travel sized options of my favorite beauty products at Sephora, but that can be pretty pricey, especially if you're looking at the ounces that you're paying for. So when it comes to shampoos, my face moisturizer, and face wash, I like to use little travel containers. I got this cute little pink set on Amazon recently, and it came with labels, which is really nice. So that is what I put like my everyday shampoo and conditioner, because I do like to pack my own personally, just because you never know how your hair is going to respond to what they have at the hotel. I recently splurged on this Louis Vuitton toiletry bag, and I've used it one time. I really like how it opens up because that's nice. Once you get to the hotel, you can kind of organize your stuff and it's really easy to find and you're not rummaging through like a dark hole, for example. But it doesn't fit as much as you would expect because you do have to fold the products up. So do keep that in mind. I find that it gets all of the essentials in there, but I definitely have to be strategic when it comes to what I'm packing. So for example, like my toothbrush doesn't fit in here as easy. So I do have to like kind of separate things out a little bit more. If the Louis Vuitton one isn't in your price point, they do also make these with just regular brands as well. So I'll link some other Amazon options below. I will occasionally travel with a makeup mirror. I don't always, it kind of depends on where I'm traveling and who I'm traveling with. For example, if I'm traveling with a girlfriend, I like to have my own little mirror. That way, if the bathroom situation is tiny or there's not a ton of like vanity room, it just makes getting ready easier so you don't have to like juggle who gets the bathroom. I have this makeup mirror from Ricky, I think is the brand, and I've had it forever. It's really slim, so it fits in the sleeve of my carry-on or checked bag really easily. I will note this can sometimes, like if it's in your carry-on bag, it can sometimes, like TSA will have to like check your bag out, so I do usually check it, just FYI. I've had that issue before, and I just make sure to charge it beforehand. I feel like the day before a trip is all about like charging everything up and getting it all prepared. I'm a big hat girl, just depending on where I'm going. If I'm going to the beach, I always bring a hat because I like to protect my skin from the sun. If I'm going out west, I always like to bring like my Western Kimosabe hat. I just love hats. So if you also love traveling with hats, a couple tips when it comes to packing them. If it's a flat hat, I would stuff the middle of the hat with things like socks and your undies, or just things that fit in the hat to keep its shape, and then lay it flat on your suitcase and then pack around it. If the hat is not flat, like for example, this Western hat is very tricky to pack, I would check out these hat clips. So it secures to the hat and then you can latch it on to your bag. So I find those very convenient. I do like to put my hat in a like dust bag just to keep it protected, and then usually when I get on a plane, I will ask the flight attendant if they have room in the coat closet. Usually they always do. Like I've never been told no for the little hat. So usually I store it in there, that way it's not in the overhead bin because it can get smushed or whatever. So that's my little secret when it comes to traveling with a hat. This might be an unpopular opinion, but I feel like it's been very trendy on social media to do these like flight maintenance routines, or like people do like their hair rollers and like their full skincare and like all of this stuff on planes, and I personally would never be caught dead doing that. I just would show up to the airport with skincare already ready to go. I don't like to fly with makeup on. Usually I just have like tinted sunscreen or something like that. If it's an overnight flight, like if I'm flying to Europe, I will just go to the airport with skincare ready, because I am so grossed out by planes. Like you could not catch me rubbing like my skincare products on an airplane. Like that just grosses me out. So I'm not personally a fan of that. That's another one of my little travel icks. I just don't care what I look like when I'm traveling, I guess. But it also depends on where I'm going. Like if I have something that night I need to be ready for, then I will travel with makeup on. But usually I like to keep it just very simple, especially if I'm waking up super early to leave for a flight. I will just be pretty minimal when it comes to makeup and skincare. If you have not already got TSA pre-check, I highly recommend it, and I would double check and see if you have a credit card that offers to reimburse for it. I have a few different credit cards that I use, and I think 2 or 3 of them offer like reimbursement for TSA, so double check there because it is completely worth it. Just for the fact that you don't have to take your shoes off and take your laptop out and that type of thing. That's another random thing about me when it comes to traveling, is I will travel with so many snacks, because you never know if there's going to be delays or what can happen when it comes to traveling. So I like to be prepared with lots of snacks, because you just never know. And I feel like I also hoard all of the snacks. Anytime like they're coming by offering snacks, I'll just grab them and hoard them in my tote bag. My usual go-tos are chomps for protein. I love pistachios. I'd love to know down below if you have any random travel icks. I mentioned a couple of mine in this video. And if you have any travel favorites, definitely let me know in the comments. But I hope you enjoyed today's video, and I will see you on Thursday with my next one. Bye.